Hello there, welcome back to another video. So you've landed the task of writing technical documentation. It could be whether you're crafting an API guide, user manual, or installation procedure. The goal is to make it as clear and helpful as possible. But where do you start? So today let's have a chat about how to structure your technical document in a way that's both engaging and easy to follow. My name is Fendi Nyaich. I'm a tech writer, web developer, and also I contribute to open source projects. So the first step into structuring your technical documentation is understanding your audience. Who is going to read this document? Are they developer, end users, or maybe stakeholders? Understanding your audience will determine the language that you're going to use for your documentation and how you're going to structure it. For instance, developers might appreciate more technical jargon and code snippets, while end users need simple instructions and visual aids. For a developer, you could write a detailed API documentation with code, and then for end users, you just put step-by-step guide with screenshots. Number 2 is creating table of contents. Imagine your reader is a traveler and your documentation is the map. A well-organized table of contents is essential. It's like GPS of your document and guiding users to the information they need quickly. So here are some tips to create table of contents. Use hierarchical headings, H1, H2, and H3s. Include all major sections and subsections, and keep it updated every time you change or make changes to your document. So you can start with an overview. A good introduction or overview sets the stage. It's your chance to briefly explain what the document covers and why it is important. Think of it as a trailer to your blockbuster movie, short, engaging, and informative. So it can include the purpose of the document, the key features, and a brief description of the document. Use consistent formatting. Consistency is key. It helps readers understand the flow and find information quickly. Uniform fonts, headings, bullet points, and numbering. This not only looks professional, but also helps with the readability. So here is some tips for you. Use headings as clear, consistent, like bold, large font, H1, smaller for H2. Lists. Use bullet point to list or number steps. Code blocks. Use monospace font for code snippets. Number 5 is write clear and simple language. Technical documentation should be easy to understand. Avoid any hard language as necessary. And use active voice. Here is an example. The initialization of the system can be carried out by the user by following the prescribed set of instructions. This means the same as follow these steps to start the system. You see the difference. The first one is complex. The second one is just as simple as it can be. Simplify the way you write as possible. Using visuals, images, diagrams, screenshots can make a whole difference in your documentation. They break up the text. They help you explain more complex concepts clearly. So you can use screenshots to show exactly what users should see on their screens, diagrams to explain processes or systems, and then icons to indicate tips, warnings, or important notes. This will make your document so easy to follow along. Using examples and scenarios. Real-world scenarios help users see how they can apply the information you're sharing. So include sample code, use cases, scenarios that demonstrate the practical application of your content. So for example, to fetch data, use the get method. With the example, you can see here, to fetch data, use get method. For instance, get/users, which will retrieve a list of users. This is a simple example of creating scenarios in your documentation. Make navigation easy. Hyperlinks and good search functions are your best friend. They help users jump to the sections they need without having to scroll through endless pages. So as I mentioned, you can use hyperlinks, internal links to relate to sections within the document, external links which links to additional resources like official documentation or tutorials that you would recommend your readers to refer to. Search functions. If you have a robust content, be sure you have a search feature on your documentation so that users can easily navigate or search for specific keywords within your documentation. Test your documentation before releasing it. Walk through the steps yourself, or better yet, have someone else unfamiliar with the content to do so. This will help you identify some gaps or unclear instructions. To test, just follow steps as if you're the first time user, or have someone else to review it, and then use back to make necessary revision. And lastly, as we always talk about, always keep your documentation updated. It's a living document. As your product evolves, So should your documentation regularly review and update it to reflect the latest changes and features and feedback. So you can schedule periodic reviews, encourage users to give you feedback so you're able to update it accordingly, and then version your documentation for major updates. So technical documentation might seem hard, but with clear structure and user-focused approach, you'll create something truly valuable. And also keep your audience in mind, use clear language, and all these we have discussed. Be sure that you ask any questions that you have in the comments, and if you have anything to add on, drop them in the comments, and see you in the next one.